What? Okay.
A little bit more? How's that? There you go. Well, good morning, everyone. We're glad to have you here again. Wow, what a long 2 years. Who would have ever guessed 2 years ago that we would have had an election victory like this one? Just incredible. That's a good reminder. A lot of times I say we did this, but us. When I use that term, I mean not only a few people, not just the people in the room or all those people out in radio land that get our emails, look at our website, but we and us are people like us from coast to coast. There are millions of us, and isn't it great to be on this side for the last 2 years and to know where it finally ended up? Wow. Anyway, Scott, can you take a moment to, wait a minute, we've got Cody back. Where's Cody? There he is. I'm going to grab him again. Back to Let's bow our heads in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come back again with our friends and neighbors at a time of celebration. You have said that if we humbled ourselves and reached out to you and asked for your help, that you would be here, and you were. We stand before another 2 years on our journey of stewardship before our nation. As you have in this past 2 years, give us the strength and the perseverance and the wisdom to see this through. Thank you, God, for calling upon us in this special time. We have answered. Amen. Okay, do we have any elected officials? Now, Adam Frederick was here in the audience just a few minutes ago, but he had another event he had to go on to. Any other elected officials? Seeing none? We have someone with us who has been with us many times in the past, and although he's not really a candidate, I don't think he quite called that. There is a possibility that Matt Miller might be selected to fulfill the Senate vacancy from Bob Gibbs. I'd like to say hello to Matt Miller.
Well, good morning and welcome back. Let me tell you that the night before the election, and I think I told Lisa this, I don't know, there's Lisa. I told Lisa the night before the election, next to my bedside, I had a stack of magazines. And I went through them trying to clean some out, and one of them I ran across was the National Journal. The National Journal from July of 2009. You know, a public affairs magazine? Well, the cover was a giant photo of Barack Obama with a big smile on his face, waving in front of a huge crowd. And the title across the top of the magazine, "It's Obama's Nation Now." The subtitle at the bottom, "Why the New Majority Will Be Around for a Very Long Time." What a difference a day makes. Here we are 1 year later, and look at the difference. You know, some of you've heard me say, every generation must learn how to defend freedom. Every generation must learn how to protect freedom. Freedom from brutal dictators, sometimes from false ideologies, and sometimes even from our own government. And thank God this generation has learned how to stand up for freedom. Not just on a battlefield in Iraq or Afghanistan, but right here on our own soil. Today I want to say thank you to all of you and all of your friends and neighbors across this great county and this great country who took advantage of their constitutional freedoms to gather together and to speak up for all that makes this land great. Thanks to you, there was a change made in our nation's capital. And regardless of your political party affiliation, without a doubt, you have had a tremendous impact on turning this nation, a huge ship that people said would be so hard to turn, in such a short amount of time. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe with the leaders that you've selected, that I've selected, we have people that are going to be steering this ship in the right direction. Don't you agree? It's a good time to be American. Very good time. And I'll tell you what comes to mind. This week you saw that President George W. Bush's book came out. Some of you might have even already purchased the book. I know they were selling them before November 9th. Did anyone get the book? Has anyone read it? Have you started to read it?
Halfway back.
All right, I haven't read it, but I would like to. But one of the stories that comes to mind is, I believe it was back in the second year of George W.'s second term, he came to Columbus to speak before a group of about 2,500 people on energy policy. So you have all these business and oil and energy people sitting in the audience. And President George W. walked out in front of the group and walked up to his podium and went through his notes and so on, and then he set them aside, and then he said this to the group. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, you're here today because you want to make America better, right?" And of course the whole audience cheered, and he said, "Well, I want to make America better too." He said, "But how serious are you about making a difference in this country?" And of course there was silence, and then he said this. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make this country better, then you find someone who is hungry and you go out and feed them. If you want to make America stronger, and you're worried about the people that are out of work and that don't have a home, losing their home to foreclosure, then you cross the street and you go visit that friend who you know is struggling, and you help them find a place to stay. Maybe you even put them up for a night." And he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, if you know someone in your community who is hurting or in need, is dealing with a health crisis beyond anything they've ever imagined, then ladies and gentlemen, why don't you grab a few of your friends and you go over there and help them get back up on their feet again. Help their family get through this time that's struggling with in their own lives." His message was clear. America, your future belongs to you. In my congressional campaign, it was very intentional that I used the slogan, "We the people, the power still belongs to you." This last election showed us that, did it not? But the work doesn't stop there. It's not just about political campaigns, it's about addressing the needs of our people, not through government, but through our own talent, using our own freedom to lift this country to places it's never seen. You know, most of you, we met when I was running for the U.S. Congress to represent Medina, Ashland, Wayne, and Stark County. And we had a good campaign, and on a very limited budget, we did pretty impressive things. I think in that primary election, if you look at the numbers, we ended up spending $80,000, and we got 29,000 votes, I believe. Our opponent spent $800,000 and got 31,000 votes. I think we got a good return on our investment. Nonetheless, it was because of people like you. And we earned the support, quite honestly, of the people in Ashland. We won Ashland handedly. We won Wayne County. And in Medina County, which was a little different situation because Medina had their own guy in the race, a good guy who's going to represent us very well in Washington, Jim Renacci, we came up a little short. But one thing it showed, we do have support here, grassroots support all around this area. Well, as fate would have it, against all odds, Bob Gibbs steps forward as a state senator running for the U.S. Congress against Zach Space. And up until Election Day, even the inside polls showed that that was a neck-and-neck race. And by the time the votes were counted, wow, Bob Gibbs blew Zach Space away with a margin that no one could ever imagine. And it's probably because Bob Gibbs is a straight shooter. He's a conservative and he's willing to stand up for what he believes, and not only that, it doesn't hurt to have an agricultural background when you're representing southeastern Ohio. But yes, you should give Bob Gibbs a hand, because that was great work what he did. Another seat going in that direction. But with Bob Gibbs' decision now to join the rest of the crew in Washington, it opens up his state Senate seat, which includes Ashland, Wayne, Medina, and Holmes County. And if you take a look at the last couple of elections, it would appear as though the place where I've spent all my time making relationships and meeting people and learning about what needs are facing these communities, it's Ashland, Wayne, Medina. Hasn't always been Holmes County, but let's face it, in a county where the county seat is named Millersburg, and half the county officials are by the name of Miller, and there's probably a few Millers in the phone book and some that don't have phones but ride their buggies up and down side of the road. Miller may not be a bad idea to put forward on the ballot in Holmes County. So with that in mind, I am attempting to get the appointment to fill the remainder of Bob Gibbs' term. It would be 2 years, and it would, at the end of the 2 years, then you would be eligible to run for re-election to represent this area. Some have asked, how does that happen? Basically what happens is, anyone who is interested will submit a letter of interest to the Senate President by December 3rd. On December 3rd, they'll gather everyone who's interested, take a look and see who's serious contenders, and then they will form a screening committee. The Senate President appoints the screening committee, and it will most likely include 5 senators from around the state. Most likely the Senate President, likely to be the majority whip, would be on that committee, and the Speaker, the President Pro Tem of the Senate. So the 3 top leaders of the Senate, and then 2 other senators from somewhere around the state. They then will interview everyone who's interested and decide who they feel would best fill the seat. They'll base it, no doubt, on experience, no doubt on the political viability back in the district, and your ability to raise money. That seems to be a common theme in politics today, doesn't it? Your ability to raise money. Those will be the primary factors they take a look at, and we'll hope they choose the best person then to represent this area of our state. I'm asking you this morning for your support. I realize this is a little different than in most elections because you don't get to cast a vote, but you can certainly spread the word. And if you feel that it's something that you'd like to do, you can always write a letter to a senator, a state senator, whichever one you choose, and encourage them to take a look at myself is what I prefer, but the candidate of your choice. Or you can also drop a letter to your local Republican Party chair people, because they too will no doubt weigh in on the decision. So I'll tell you what, I appreciate you guys letting me come back and reintroduce myself to you. And from the bottom of my heart, I do say thank you. Because regardless of what happens, this group has stepped forward and not only, in my humble opinion, and this was not your intention, saved the Republican Party, but more importantly, saved the entire country. So I appreciate all your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And who were those senators again? The big 3 and 2 others?
It would most likely be the Senate President, the Senate Pro Tem, and the Majority Whip.
Right.
And these guys, it's Tom House, looks to be the next Senate President. The next in line course, President Pro Tem would be probably Steve Durer or Keith Faber, and then whichever one of them most likely didn't make it for that job would get the third position. And then, of course, all the senators, any state senator that you know will ultimately get a vote, but it seems as though that group of five is the one that really.
When does this go into the happen?
Immediately after December 3rd, they convene their screening committee. They'll take a look at the candidates, interview them, and then they're hoping to have the choice made by the end of December for the person to be sworn in with the rest of the newly elected senators beginning of January.
When do we have to have you want the letters ASAP?
That would be great.
Okay.
And I will also tell you, if you do choose to write one and you're willing to send me a copy, that would be great as well, because I would make sure that I presented them at the formal interview.
Now, what about the senator-elect, like in Summit County, Frank LaRose and stuff? Will they have the vote or no?
Ultimately, I believe they will after the first of the year when everything is put into place. But regardless of whether they're currently serving or they are in that position that they'll soon be sworn in, they're all worth contacting, because you've got to build the momentum by getting your name before all these senators and hopefully that can shape their opinion of you in a positive way.
Matt, can you post all the places to send letters on your website, or?
Yes, we can do that. In fact, I just forwarded an email to Tim and Lisa this morning with some of the contact information.
Okay. So between their website and your website?
Yes.
That would be the place to look.
You gonna post that, Lisa?
We will.
Is that information
Yes.
about it right
Actually, this was a bio if anyone wanted a bio.
I'm just thinking it would be nice if we could, as a group, even agree to endorse you and make the important statement that not only money, but boots on the ground in terms of people willing to work for you or every bit of support.
You better believe it,
So,
because that's,
I don't know, I just.
let's face it,
Would like
in
to
modern,
propose that we do that as a group. I don't know, if Lisa and Jim are, heard me say that.
let's face it, in modern politics, the major part of that decision by this group of five that probably don't even reside here in the district is going to be your ability to hold on to the seat. Let's face it, they don't want to lose their majority, that's what they're going to look at. And for that reason, your ability to raise money and your ability to win an election are going to be serious factors. Because let's face it, most that'll put their name before are going to have the experience to do the job. So the question is, who can hold on to the seat without the Republican caucus having to spend their money to defend it? So that'll be one of my strongest selling points, is showing that I've already been on the ballot in these counties and done
Working now.
I think we can probably turn that part down. I don't know, is it that much louder than the other mic?
Not a good idea to put a mic in front of a speaker.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, let's try to get all that information up on the website so people can look at it again. I definitely encourage people to write those letters. Why not, right? Chuck?
Yeah, well, her comment about, can the organization do an endorsement? Can the organization endorse someone?
I don't see why not. It's a social organization.
Make a move.
I make a motion that we endorse Matt Miller.
We have a motion and a second to endorse Matt Miller. Can we see showing of the hands endorsing Mr. Miller? Yeah, keep them up. Wow, can we get a count?
There was 62 in here before. I don't think anybody doesn't have their hand up.
Make it unanimous.
All right. Shall we do a voice vote, say whether or not it's unanimous? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Maybe you guys can do some kind of a letter type of deal with all our names that we did sign in and have it on the sheet to submit it to his people you have to submit it to. Can we do that?
And if anyone chooses don't, they can just email you separately and say, I just assume you don't put my name if there's anyone. So fine.
Yeah,
Not me.
Uh,
Not me.
Yeah, you need a full name and address, I imagine, on that. On everybody.
You mean petition type of thing?
Yeah, kind of like a supporting letter from Medina County Friends and Neighbors.
You know, just
Okay.
the following people and list everybody that's here.
What do you think, Matt? Think that would be helpful, or?
I absolutely think it would be helpful, and thank you very much for your willingness to do it.
All right.
And whether or not you include your address and all that, I'm not sure if it would be necessary, but still.
Okay, well, we want to make sure we do the right thing,
No,
that
exactly.
qualifies. It doesn't have to be like a registered voter. Is the same qualification on the registered voter?
Well, this, since it's not a formal petition,
Right.
I think you were fine.
Okay,
So make sure everybody sign in.
yes. If you haven't signed in, go sign in.
Are you signing?
Yes.
Okay. You mean on the sign-in sheets over here?
Yeah.
All right, we can do that.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, we're a little bit off our schedule today, but we did want to bring that up to everyone's attention. Why don't we just kind of skip it? Oh, one other thing that has a website impact, David Frost, did you want to show your thing now?
Yep.
Then we'll turn the podium over to our guest speaker. By the way, Bob Gibbs was mentioned here. He will be our next guest speaker on the second Saturday in December. So we'll keep the compliment him on his personal.
Matt, Marcia made a comment, she said, and he did it without a teleprompter. Okay, can I take this out? Now it's on. We heard that we have a celebration, but I think the celebration could be, let's say, over and now the hard work begins. We have all said that we want to follow up on our representatives, see how they vote, hold their feet to the fire. And how do we do that? I've got a suggestion. We're going to post this on the website, but if anybody wants to take notes today, here are a number of websites where you can get information, all the information you could possibly deserve, okay? It has to do with the Senate, the House, the Ohio legislature, and my suggestion is that we follow up as a group, as individuals, as a group, to follow how our legislators vote, federal, state, whatever. And I think the important thing here is that if they vote some way we don't approve of, we need to get in touch with them now, right away. Can't let it ride, can't let it follow up and maybe get in touch with them 6 months from now. We need to let them know that we're watching. So we're going to get this posted on the website. We're going to have this hanging at McFan headquarters. And if anybody wants to take notes, please feel free to do that today. And if you have any questions about any of these websites, I can probably answer some of them. So please don't be bashful. We need to follow up. We need to do our homework now. Thank you.
Dave, if I could just add one thing. I also get what's called vote notes. I don't know if anyone gets that. But it's you do it by congressional district, obviously I'm 16th here. And it gives you what's coming out, and it deals just with your U.S. Congress and your U.S. Senate. And it tells you what votes are upcoming, and it also tells you how your representatives, your senators and your rep voted on every issue that comes up. So it's a good thing to get on, is that vote note.
We'll add that. Now, a couple of these websites here have the same thing, by the way. It has the calendar in the Senate
Well,
and the
this
House.
sends it right to your email.
Huh?
They send it right to you.
Oh,
You don't have to go
okay.
on the webpage, they send it to you.
Okay, anyhow, there's resources here. We need to take advantage of them.
Thank you, David. It's a very important role the next 2 years. We've elected a bunch of new people. The establishment is going to try to indoctrinate them and orient them immediately. Did I say co-opt them? it's important that we give them our support and continued vigilance to help them resist the efforts to co-opt them. Anyway, we've had a lot of on our agenda, which is a great thing. We have some more additional items on our agenda coming later on. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Jack Boyle. Jack has been a guest here before, and he's Executive Director of End Ohio Estate Tax, former Director of Americans for Prosperity, well-known political activist and commentator. So, Jack, you wanna we can stick it in here? Or?
That sounds good.
As they said on Star Trek, you have the con.
When I saw the email, Jim had emailed me a week ago or a couple of weeks and said, could I come this morning? And I was very pleased to. But then when I saw the email going out about something like noted political commentator, I was worried I was getting my leg pulled a little bit because, my wife and my kids consider me a noted political commentator, but that's mainly because I yell at the television like for all of us. Let me a couple of just brief things. Man, I'm